Oh shit, you're already recording.
Yeah, I've already recorded. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay. Oh, it's recording.
Everything's on recording.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's okay. Hi. Welcome to Brain and Heart. Today we will be reviewing of Light and Darkness.
Yes.
By Shayne
Leighton.
Leighton. This is how you pronounce it.
She's an author that really is kind of undiscovered almost. So she's got a few books, but no one knows about her. Like the books aren't sold at Barnes & Noble, like in store. They're kind of hard to find.
Yeah, a little bit. We found her through TikTok.
She posted this video that was like, hey, do you like vampire novels? And do you have daddy issues? And do you like romances that like are kind of questionable but still interesting? And I was like, sure. No, it was like what, $2 on Kindle?
Because it was Halloween and it was a vampire book, they had like a really big sale, so we it was like $2, so we both bought it at the same time.
Yeah. And
read it within 5 months. Her immediately, me 5 months later.
This was the kind of book that I was listening to on my way to work. I have a 5-minute drive to work, and I listen to it on my way to work every day. I listened to it before I went to bed, when I woke up in the morning, when I was making breakfast. I constantly was listening to this book because I really liked it.
I forced myself to read this book. The title is Of Light and Darkness by Shayne Leighton. It's 410 pages. It's it's kind of, is it modern? It's modern, right? Yep. So there was things that were modern. So it's kind of like a modern fantasy mixed with dark academia. The main characters' names are Charlotte, Valak, and Aiden. Age rating, from what I remember, because I don't remember much of this book, I will admit, besides my notes, there is sexual content.
It's because, when we both go.
So I guess I'll drop my rating down about like 15.
I'd say 15, 16. Like
okay,
that's the age you could start reading it.
We also want to put a warning that there is sexual assault or borderline sexual assault in this book.
All right. A stunning debut that is fiercely imaginative, multi-layered, dark fantasy for fans of The Bear and the Nightingale. Raised among a secret society of witches, shifters, and elves, human-born Charlotte Rutsukova finds that she is a freak in her world of magic and monsters. When she stands before an army of impossible obstacles, the likelihood of survival in this coming-of-age modern fairy tale is slim. After Charlotte captures the attention of the young elven prince, her scorn results in the all-out war between light and darkness. Title. Charlotte knows no other home than the one nestled deep in the woods of the Czech Republic, where witches draw spells of enchantment, shifters throw tea parties, and elves are the closest in kin. But as genocide and war threatens life as she knows it, Charlotte will fight for what she believes in: truth, bravery, and most importantly, love.
Of course.
Fighting with the coven of rogue monsters is tougher than it seems, but she will stop at nothing to save them, and she'll do it before the sun comes up and light takes over forever. Filled with Slavic folklore, Of Light and Darkness is the first part of an epic series not to be missed. What I find interesting about that is that Valak is not mentioned once.
You're right.
Not once.
That's interesting. He's a main character.
And it's a love story, and the only part that she mentions is, most importantly, love.
Of love.
Valak's not mentioned other than that. He's like the main character besides Charlotte. He was my favorite character.
I know
I'm a little insulted.
I'm not gonna lie, the vibe I get from this description is nothing like the book.
No, that's the first time I read that.
Yeah,
she seems like a hero in that, and no offense to Charlotte, but she's not really the hero in this story.
The Goodreads rating is 3.5 stars. Okay,
that's
not
pretty
terrible.
Good. Yeah.
What's your rating for it?
I'd give it a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
I really liked this book.
That's okay. You have every right to like this book. I gave it a 2 stars.
Oh god. Okay, this is gonna be a fun review.
This is going to be a very interesting review.
Don't
hold it yet.
It's hot, but it tastes good. Continue.
This is going to be an interesting review because there's not many things we disagree on, especially in terms of books. But when it comes to romance books, we tend to like different things. Mm-hmm. And this is not something I enjoyed.
That's okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Things we liked.
I really, really liked Charlotte and Valak's romance.
Okay.
I really did. And I know it's kind of weird because he is her adoptive father.
Yes.
They're not related, but he raised her from an infant.
Yes, he did.
She's 18 now, 19? Anyway, but I love their romance because I really liked, I don't know, I've always liked unconventional romances to the point where and I love vampires.
Yes, you do.
So I liked the fact that Valak was very protective of her, and I kind of liked the fact that she was a teensy bit helpless, just because that's not something you see in romance novels.
That's true.
Nowadays you see these heroines that are I'll ruin everyone's life, and I have a soft spot for one guy.
But I can protect myself.
Yes. He does. I don't want him protecting me, which is fine. That's great. But it's nice to also see the vulnerable side of a girl. I guess.
Agree.
Back in the day, you only saw that side of women in literature, and I get people were sick of that. But it was refreshing to read it in a modern sense, where the girl was very much I know that I'm in a world where I don't have a lot of power, and I know that in the same world, you have a ton of power because you're a vampire, and I'm okay with you protecting me, and I can help you in any way that I can.
I will totally admit that take on a character is not something we see a lot anymore, because we have so many books that are pushing the feminist side of everything, where the woman can take care of herself, she can make her own decisions, she forces herself to become strong.
Which is great.
So no one, and it's it's a great thing to have. Not every woman's like that though. We have Exactly. I mean, you're not useless.
No.
So you do have the ability to be independent.
I do. But if I was in a world like
heart.
that, I would be a softie.
Yeah. And you're just you have a softer temperament, which makes sense, and that's something we need to explore in characters. And I totally am okay with the concept of that because it's a great thing to have. Right. Something I liked. Yes. She has a really great diction, specifically settings. She has a great way of describing settings. I didn't have a hard time picturing them in my mind. Mm-hmm. There's just very beautiful imagery. She was able to really craft locations very well.
No, I definitely agree with that.
There's a scene where Sarah is helping her change her clothes and stuff, because she's just literally been dressed in baby doll dresses for her entire life. And I get that Valak is older and he's in a mindset of more of an ancient kind of setting, but she's 18 years old.
Interview with the Vampire. What's her name? Claudia. Mm-hmm. Louis dresses her because she's a little girl forever, but she's actually 100.
Yes, and it kind of makes sense because she is permanently in the body of a child. Charlotte is aging.
That's true.
She's 18 years old and wearing things that a 6-year-old would wear, which if that's her style, that's her style. That's whatever. But she's being dressed by her parental figure like that. And it's strange.
It is, especially because they have a love story going.
And that was something I found odd. And so that in general I found strange, but then Sarah dresses her in regular clothing one time and she sort of feels strong and hot. Yeah. And she's able to feel an adult.
And Valak's
he has a moment. I really respect Sarah for giving her clothing that just to dress her in this clothing just to do it, because she can let her be hot to be hot, not just to get Valak's attention, just to dress up and be herself.
You reminded me of Sarah.
The character? Oh, I thought you were referencing something else. I got confused.
No.
Okay.
No, in the book.
I thought the addiction was interesting. It's not just a one-sided thing, so I'll explain. So he sucked her blood, and obviously he was addicted to it, but then she got that bite because they were fated. Yeah, so they were fated to be together, so she started feeling extreme pain and stuff, and I thought that was fascinating. That was something I've never seen and explored, somebody being addicted to that. And I didn't like how it was it's because they're fated to be together. That was kind of a cheap way of getting out of it. I wish there was much more interesting explanation for it, because there could have been many different explanations. I don't like that they got rid of the answer immediately. That was something she did, and I was she kind of just answers stuff that could have been drawn out over the series. She could be what could that possibly be? And they come up with a bunch of different theories, but none of them are right, and then it's explained in the next book. But she sort of just answered all these questions we had within 50 pages.
Question answer.
Yeah,
question
exactly.
answer. Yeah.
So which kind of blah, but we're not doing that right now. We're doing good things.
Good things. Okay. Another thing that
Hello.
Toes.
Do that.
I really liked that you didn't know that Aiden was going to be the villain. In the beginning, she's she almost tells the readers I have this kind of attraction to Aiden, I always thought we might have gotten together, Like, there's, like, this, like, friendship that could have been love. And, like, I really liked that. And I was like, Aiden's a cutie.
He is sweet, yeah.
He's a cutie. And that guy who did that, because we listened to the audiobook, the guy who did the voice for it, he had, like, a Scottish accent.
I remember you said that.
I loved Aiden. And then he became a little bitch boy. I loved that, though. I loved that transition.
It was great.
Because, like, it was like he just given this, he was fed this power, and he just became power hungry. But there's a lot of addiction in this book.
There is.
So, like, his addiction was power. He just wanted more and more and more and more. And that's why he, like, did some really terrible things in this book.
Yes, it is.
But I loved that you loved him at first, and then you hated him.
It was very fascinating. There's a couple parallels in these books.
Okay.
One specifically that I noticed was there's a parallel between Francis falling for Valak and Valak falling for Charlotte.
Explain.
Francis turned to Valak.
That's true.
Took care of him and stuff.
That's true.
And then they separated and stuff, and then Valak falls for the person he raises and takes care of.
Yeah, that's true.
Obviously one works out, but to see
really, speaking of that, I loved that Francis had a thing for Valak.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't expect it.
I don't either.
And when it was revealed, I was like, oh, shit.
There's also a parallel between Francis and that one Vladislav, I think his name is.
Yeah.
Vladislav. They seem to have been like some kind of couple, and like near the end of the book it reveals that. And then there's a parallel between that and Charlotte and Aiden.
Yeah. You're right. I didn't pick that up.
There's a
big brain. Big brain. Big brain.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I did like that Aiden was a little crafty little shit. Like he ends up killing Vladislav, or almost killing him. And
yeah.
I mean, like, Francis is the one that finishes him off, but like, and then he frames a guard for doing it and stuff. Yeah. And it was interesting.
He's smart.
He was smart,
but he's like, I feel like he's a little sloppy.
Very much so, because he's young.
He is, and I liked that they had that element of it.
It was very good.
Yeah. He got really rapey at the end, too.
He did. I was very nervous it was going to happen.
Me too. Yeah.
I was very nervous, but it didn't. Luckily. Yeah. Okay, I've run out of things I liked. I'm sorry.
Such a short little list.
I normally do a favorite thing here.
Yeah. Do you have one?
No.
You know what I loved? This is just kind of like a random thing I really liked about the book. That scene in the beginning where Evangeline came in and her and Valak were having like a moment, and Charlotte saw it. And Valak can read Charlotte's mind, which makes me, if I had a romantic partner who
read your mind. That's why Bella and Edward kind of worked, because he couldn't read.
Yeah,
mind.
That's why I liked
cool
it.
Thing, so.
But like, the fact that when she walked in and she saw Evangeline and Valak together, and Charlotte couldn't. She normally has like a border around her mind. She says, like, she tries to like block her thoughts, but she couldn't. And she was like no, like, I love you, like, oh my god.
Yeah, why are you doing
and
that?
Valak heard it, and he like looked at her and he was like, oh no. And then he like chased her into the street. Oh, I loved that scene. It was so good.
It was good. It was very tense.
Oh, I loved it. He finally could understand her and like see inside her head for the first time in a moment of vulnerability.
Mm-hmm. I think it happened too early.
It did. I wish it had. I wish that they explored their relationship, like living, like their domestic relationship, living together and stuff, like for a lot more time, because I loved learning about that. And like, I was like, how did Charlotte come to love Valak in a romantic way rather than a fatherly way? Like, how did that come about? Mm-hmm. You know, I wish that we had more information on how Valak fell in love with Charlotte, because it's a little, we mostly hear about Charlotte's side, not Valak's. Mm-hmm. I would love to know like how he came to think of her that way.
This is a great segue into cons/things we didn't like.
Okay, you can go first because I know you have a lot of them.
Let's start with her writing style. Like I said, I really liked the setting descriptions and her diction. She uses a lot of nice words. In general, I didn't get a strong writing style from her, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do I respect her for doing this? Absolutely. It's so hard to not only write your own book, but publish your own book.
She did rewrite it and republish it,
She did, yes. So it is a very long process, and she went through it, and she's worked very hard, and I 100% respect her. I just generally, I think the book could have been longer. I've made a couple different notes about the book itself feeling rushed. Every scene pretty much feels like it happens too quickly. In fast-paced scenes, she doesn't describe things that I think should be described. The relationships, character developments, plot, character arcs, it all kind of felt rushed. Character development specifically, Valak felt underdeveloped. I was 60% in. I was like, he's not really having much character development, and when he is, it's underexplained.
He seems to follow a trope. That's
and his falling for Charlotte didn't really make any sense to me. It just didn't feel natural. It kind of felt like he saw her as a daughter, And as soon as she revealed her feelings, he was like, oh, I can love you in a romantic way too. And I was like, that's sus.
Yeah.
That's very sus.
I think he fell in love with the humanity aspect of her because he missed being human.
Yes. And that's an interesting take on it.
So, I mean, I don't know how... I haven't read the second book. I own it. Haven't read it yet. A Blood and Magic, out now. But I think that eventually she's going to become a vampire. And I wonder how that's going to change their relationship.
Yeah, because if it makes it weaker, that means that he didn't really love her
for
her. It means he loved her for the humanity she represented. And that would be a very interesting take on it. I think that would make this book a lot more interesting. Suddenly.
But sad.
It would suck, yeah.
I love their relationship.
Yeah, and their relationship is sweet.
Yeah.
Borderline scary.
Yeah, so you can go into that.
Yeah, so obviously this is a situation where it is adoptive father with a child.
Well, she's not a child anymore.
A child who was a child at one point, who he raised, with her being a borderline adult, becoming romantic. So, are they related? No. Is he eternally young? Yes. Is she of age? Yes. Has she had feelings for a long time? Yeah. Is he suddenly developing romantic feelings for her? Yeah. Do people still get freaked out about this relationship and not read this book? Absolutely.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people are like, yeah, as soon as I realized I had a father-daughter relationship, I put this book down immediately because I didn't want to read about that.
Yeah, a lot of people thought that was uncomfortable. And I read on Shayne's TikTok, which I love her. In the comments, a lot of people were like, yeah, like, this is weird. Like, I can't get behind it. You have to have the right mindset to get behind it. And, like, I've always liked relationships. Not specifically, like, father-daughter, like, weird.
Yeah,
like,
no,
that's weird.
Yeah.
But it was the way, I don't know, the fact that he was a vampire changes things a little bit. Mm-hmm. It would be different if they were human, I think.
Yeah, no, if it was human, this would not work at all.
Vampires are frozen in time, technically. Yes. So it's almost like when Charlotte reached that age, it was like they were almost the same age. Like, it was, it's... that's why I wasn't super comfortable with it.
Yeah, and it makes sense, but one thing I did have a problem with was, despite the very obvious mentality that Charlotte is now of age, he consistently, without fail, will treat her like a child.
Yes, that's true.
He calls her his doll, he dresses her in children's style clothing, he lets her color with crayons at one point, he consistently doesn't tell her things like a parent doesn't tell children things about, like, finances. He keeps information from her on purpose. He consistently describes her as little or...
Little Lottie.
Little. He calls her Little Lottie, and I get that, but if he's going to be moving from the position of a father figure to a romantic partner, then you have to stop with this mentality that she's a child.
Yeah.
There's also a problem where she wants to be viewed like an adult and his equal, and not somebody that he still needs to parent, but she also still acts like a child. Yes. She still consistently will rely on him for everything. It kind of felt pedophilic.
Yeah, no.
And I don't want to be, like, calling her out for pedophilia, because it's not. It's not pedophilia because she is of age, but it's like the situation with Lolita. Yeah. The mentality of, like, grown men liking Lolita girls.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
No, I see where you're coming from there.
So if they're going to treat her like a child, why would she ever be considered a romantic figure?
Yeah, and I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong, because I don't recall this ever happening, but, like, I wish that she had more of an upset about the fact that he was referring to her as, like, little and a doll. Like, it seemed like, I mean, she was like, yeah, like, I want to be viewed as more adult, but, like, she wasn't angry that he was being like that. Like,
no, she, like, she didn't have a problem with the nicknames. She kind of got upset when he was kind of treating her and putting her in the dark, which is good. Like, if she didn't get information from him, she got upset because he shouldn't be keeping stuff from her, and she understood that, and he eventually got to that point. But no, she didn't, like, rebel against anything else that really happened. And that is dangerous. Like, keeping that and writing that and not... I don't know if maybe she saw concern in it, the writer herself.
Maybe. Because their relationship is slightly problematic.
Is that my computer? It is. Ugh, it's fine. Shut up. It's not now! Mom! Inconvenient timing! That's probably one of the things I didn't like most, is that she consistently was put in this childlike position when it was supposed to be that she's an adult.
No, I agree with you, and there is some strange elements to it. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed the fact that he was very protective of her, but some scenes I was like, like, okay, like, that's a little I don't know.
I also don't know why he never taught her to protect herself. She didn't
kill anyone. Though.
Wasn't able to fight to defend herself.
Yeah.
She had a whistle to blow if she was in danger, but if he's asleep, he's not going to hear that. So the question is, she is a decent amount of her time on her own, because if she's leaving the city walls, that's all that can happen is her being on her own.
Yeah.
But she doesn't know how to defend herself. She has so much reliance on this man that loses her like 7 times in the book.
That's true.
And it's like,
so she should learn how to protect herself.
She needs to have some kind of independence, or she's going to die.
I didn't really like the ending portion of the book. Not like the ending, but like when we got to like the 3/4 in, when we met like the vampire coven and like that whole thing, I lost interest a tiny bit. I really liked seeing Valak and Charlotte and their relationship together and stuff, and like how they were coping like on their own. I liked that part of it for the first portion of the novel, but then once it got to be like we have like a million different characters that we're dealing with, like the coven of vampires, I didn't bother learning their names or like figuring out their relationship. I was just like, okay, there's a lot of people in this scene. I'm not that interested in a lot of the characters. So I kind of lost a little interest. I liked Francis. I liked Francis. But the other vampires I didn't really care about.
That's true. There were a lot of characters introduced all at once.
Yeah.
Most of them weren't super important. They were just there for like the final battle to have numbers. And I was like...
Yeah, and like a few lines that they threw in. There's Aiden, Charlotte, Valak, the vampire coven, and then like Francis, Evangeline, Sarah, and then the little spider guy, Mr.
T something.
Yeah, him.
Mr. T.
Like everyone was just Edwin.
Yeah.
Oh my god, everyone was just thrown in at the end, and I'm like, oh, my brain is too tired to keep track of these characters.
A big problem with this was the book's 400 pages, and we had about 400 characters.
Yeah.
So there was just a lot of information, not a lot of it was explored, and that kind of ties into the book feeling rushed.
I don't know. There was parts of the books that dragged a little bit. Other than that, I really liked most of it.
I thought it was interesting to see that Charlotte, as a child, viewed him as a monster. But then there's a part in the beginning of the book where she's bleeding and he like sees it and smells it and he almost kills her.
Yeah, I liked that.
And then after that, she got super angry.
Valak, stop.
Why was she angry at him?
Because he had sheltered her so much, she was like shelter shocked when she saw that side of him that she had never seen before. Valak.
That's exactly what I was looking for, because if he had just shown her his being monstrous a little bit more, she wouldn't have that reaction. If he just didn't treat her like a child.
To protect her, but that was not really protecting her. Because then when she eventually was going to see it, which she did, she'd be like, oh my god.
There were things that she tried to like subtly hint to, but it was so obvious.
Oh, like what?
Like, there was a bond that was forced between Aiden and Charlotte by his mother, Meredith. It's not hard to guess that. I figured that out instantly.
I didn't.
Really?
Yeah, no, I was like, oh!
Sorry.
I didn't pick it up. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I thought it was kind of cool. Like,
I'm glad you did. Yeah, I mean, it was cool. I wish it wasn't, like, so very obviously hinted to, though. And there were many moments throughout the book where I was like, okay, that's very obvious, and then it ended up being obvious, and I was like, come on. Yeah. Where's the, like, the surprise?
Where's the flavor?
I should have kept a tally of how many times I said f*** off out loud.
I hope we learn about her family, like that, because he found her like on the street, like
that
a baby.
Would be fascinating.
That'd be interesting.
It turns out she's like not fully human. That'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
I thought she was gonna like reveal some cool magical power at the end. She did.
I'm glad that she didn't have any powers.
That's fair.
It was interesting that she was human in a world of monsters. You know, the guy, I forgot his name. The guy who does the voice acting for it. I loved him. The only thing I didn't like is the voice he did for Charlotte. Because Valak, stop. Valak. Like, that's how he did the voice. Valak had this super, like, sexy, deep voice. He's like, Charlotte. And then Aiden had this really cool Scottish accent. And then Valak, stop. I love the voice actor, though. He was super good. And whenever he had certain lines, like, Valak would say, I'd, like, rewind it. Let's do it again. I'm like, ooh, that's a good line. He did a great job with that.
Once again, in general, I'm like mad respect for Shayne for doing what she did, because
and she's got her own publishing.
I was going to say she published it through her own company and everything that she started, so it's really, really impressive, all the work she's been able to do. It's just not my style of book in the end, and I respect her.
Side note, she based a lot of the relationship between Valak and Charlotte on her and her husband, which I read about in her TikTok, which is kind of cool. Yeah. So he's from the Czech Republic, and that she visited there, and she got inspired to write the book. and she's got red hair.
Yes.
Charlotte's got curly red hair. The same
Yes.
kind of thing, which is kind of cool.
If you like vampires and have daddy issues, this book is for you.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, if you like unconventional vampire romances, I would say this is a good, because I love vampires. I love vampire stuff. But I've never liked the modern vampire stories, so I'm not a fan of, like, Vampire Diaries is okay. I didn't love Twilight, like Vampire Academy. I don't really like the modern ones. I like Bram Stoker's Dracula, like the old-timey, like, good, like the vampires that are
Interview
like...
with the Vampire.
Yeah, Interview with the Vampire, like old vampires, and Valak was that old vampire type, and I loved that.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It was
that's
cool
that
that he
on
was
that.
traditional. Okay, so thank you guys so much for watching.
Yes.
Feel free to leave a comment saying if you agree with me or agree with her, because I feel like we're going to have different perspectives.
I agree with you on a lot of things.
And I do,
though.
and I agree with
Yeah.
you as well. But in terms of liking the book and disliking the book,
Yeah.
we disagree.
I think it's worth a read. Like, do you think it would be worth it to read again?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay. I think it's worth a read. I enjoyed the book. I will be reading Of Blood and Magic and of... Okay, wait. So it's Of Blood and Magic, of Stars and Monsters. That's it. Stars and Monsters.
They have such cool titles.
Of Stars and Monsters. That's coming out next year, I believe. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
And also, this is Shayne's TikTok. Yeah. So definitely give her a follow. And actually, I kind of geeked out a little bit. She's replied to a few of my comments before, and I was like,
Oh, that's so
because
cute.
I love her.
I also follow
But-
her on TikTok. Feel free to leave a comment. Please leave a like if you like this video, because it helps us with the algorithm getting this video recommended to others. It really does help us out with getting
Yeah.
our channel just some traction.
Yeah, and we
which is
love
great.
reading comments and stuff.
We do love reading comments. I always I'm like, we got another comment.
Yeah.
We always freak out about
Did you
it.
see?
Subscribe if you want to see more content like this.
Mm-hmm.
We don't post often, but when we do, we put a lot of work into it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
guys.
And we will see you. This has been Brain and Heart. It's so strange. What the
Have
hell's
you met
wrong?
us?
I mean, yeah.
Don't you ever put your nail between my nail and my thingy meat.